In the NFL, you have to prove to the doubters and you have to prove to your critics that you deserve respect and that you deserve to be in a top billing whenever it comes to a conversation of being compared to other players. Well, for Woodward Sports, they just made it abundantly clear that they still do not respect one of the Lions' key players. We're going to talk about it in this episode, folks. Stay tuned.
What are we? What makes us what we are and what we're going to be? It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and three toes. I will beat your ass.
Can definitely compete with the big dogs.
10-5 end zone touchdown Detroit Lions.
You guys are unbelievable, man. I'm telling you.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, all Detroit Lions fans, and welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and as always, we're diving on in. So here's the thing, folks. I'm just going to tell you this right now. Over the last couple of years, specifically 2023 and 2022, we have seen how the Detroit Lions have completely changed the narrative about how people are viewing them, about how people see them as a team, as an organization, seeing them now as a contender, seeing them now as a threat, seeing them now as a competent, organization that can win games. They're tough, they're resilient, they're gritty. Well, here's the thing. That perspective, that viewpoint has been largely disseminated and held now throughout the entirety of the NFL. But I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't know what it is, but Woodward Sports always seems to find a way to really make it hard to understand why they're in the business of being a sports analyst show. Here's the reason why I say this. I would have thought that with the Lions doing as well as they are now, the Lions would have gotten a lot more fealty, a lot more loyalty in terms of rankings and actually looking at the teams that we have, the players that we have right now, and saying, hey, we have some really damn good players, and in comparison to other players, they should be held at a much higher level compared to most other players. Why am I talking about this? In a recent, posting, Woodward Sports put out what they called as their all NFC North team. And in it, they went through every single position on the offense about who would be considered on this all NFC North team for the offense. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Woodward Sports did not take very long to make an absolutely ridiculous, stupid decision. Because for me, it's like, if you're going to make a comparison, if you're going to try and say that this player is better than this player, first and foremost, just at face value, it better make damn sense. But if it doesn't make sense, you better be able to back it up. Well, again, like I said, Woodward Sports didn't take very long before they already screwed up because they decided to say that Jordan Love deserved to be on the All-NFC North, offense rather than quarterback Jared Goff. I'm sorry, but I've always known that Woodward Sports has this very, very shaky, very, kind of whatever relationship with Jared Goff. They have always been not willing to acknowledge him being a top quarterback. They've always been very hesitant to give him any praise. They've always been hard-pressed, the majority of those at Woodward Sports. There are a few, but the majority of people at Woodward Sports, it always seems like they are not willing to give Jared Goff his flowers, even though he has damn well earned them. Well, once again, Woodward Sports has shown their true colors by making Jordan Love the top quarterback in the NFC North, in their opinion, rather than Jared Goff. And I'm telling you this right now, just looking at it from face value, it makes no damn sense. But when you start actually looking at it from a logical perspective, you start looking at it from a statistical perspective, it gets even worse. And again, this is why Woodward Sports, in my opinion, holds very little credibility as being able to say, hey, we actually know what we're talking about. We actually take the time to sit down and think about this process. Let's just take a look at the stats between Jordan Love and Jared Goff from a macro perspective from 2023. In 2023, these were the stats that Jared Goff had. He was the 7th best quarterback in the NFL in terms of completion percentage, 2nd best in passing yards, 4th best in touchdowns. He had freaking the 9th best rating in passer rating, and he had the 11th best rating in QBR rating, and his PFF grade was the 6th best in the entirety of the NFL in terms of passing grade with an 84.3. You're talking about a quarterback that played absolutely freaking lights out. And it reflected on the field. It reflected in the fact that the Lions were able to get all the way to the NFC Conference Championship game. It reflected in the fact that Jared Goff got the Lions 2 playoff victories at home, the first playoff victory they'd had since 1991. He got them a division title, the first one they had had since 1993. Got them to the NFC Conference Championship game, as I just mentioned, the first time since 1991. Jared Goff set extreme, he outdid himself immensely in 2023. There's no way around that. But then you go to Jordan Love in 2023. Jordan Love, take a look at his stats. He had the 20th highest ranking completion percentage. He had the 7th best amount of passing yards in the NFL. He had the 2nd highest in passing touchdowns. He had the 11th best passer rating, the 9th best QBR, and he had the 11th best PFF passing grade with an 82.7. I'm just going to tell you this right now. Outside of the QBR, which is done by ESPN, and the passing touchdowns, Jared Goff outdoes freaking Jordan Love in every single category. So just from a statistical perspective, a macroscopic statistical perspective, Jared Goff was better than Jordan Love in 2023. Oh, and here's the other thing I want to point out here. Jordan Love, yes, he got the Packers a playoff victory. He was able to get the Packers into the playoffs when a lot of people didn't think they were going to make it last year. But there was no division title. The Packers' last playoff victory prior to this last year in 2023, was in 2020. So it wasn't like there was this huge drought, this huge span between the last playoff victory to now. Then, speaking of playoffs, let's take a look at how Jared Goff compares to Jordan Love in the playoffs last year versus, what's been going on. Think about it. Let's take a look at what Goff did last year. Goff had the 5th highest passing percentage of all quarterbacks in the postseason last year. He had the 2nd most passing yards out of all quarterbacks in the postseason last year. Tied 4th for most passing touchdowns out of all quarterbacks in the postseason. 5th best 5th best passer rating and 8th best QBR. That was Jared Goff in the postseason last year, over 3 games. Let's take a look at Jordan Love. Jordan Love had the 8th best passing completion rate, still lower than Jared Goff. Had the 5th most amount of passing yards, lower than Jared Goff. He was 3rd in passing touchdowns. He had one more than Jared Goff, so that's a little bit better. His passer rating was ranked 3rd, which was a little bit better. And his QBR was a little bit better. However, though, let's understand something here. Just when you take a look at that perspective, it looks like Jordan Love was the better quarterback as far as from that perspective. But we're going to talk about how even in that, you have to go deeper. You have to get much more definitive. You have to get much more specific with the statistics. Because again, that description I just gave with Jordan Love, it is not the full story here, because you actually have to start taking a look at the minutia of those stats. So what am I talking about here? We're going to get to that in a little bit, but let's take a look at the other parameter that quarterbacks are often judged by in determining who's better than the other. Their ability to play in primetime games, the big regular season games. You're underneath the Thursday night, the Monday night, the Sunday night lights. You're in primetime. You're the only team on television. You better be able to play, and you better be able to play well. Take a look at what Jared Goff did in primetime last year. 139 completions to 212 attempts, 65.6 completion percentage, 1,616 yards, 11 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, a 97.9 passer rating with a 4-2 record. I know record is not specifically related to quarterbacks, but it's a record, it's a statistical category that is often equated with quarterback success. Then you take a look at Jordan Love in primetime last year. 135 completions to 206 attempts, 65.5 completion percentage, 1,437 yards, 11 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, a 91.4 passer rating, a 3-3 record. Here's why I bring this up. Here's why I specifically wanted to talk about this. Take a look at the opponents that the Lions and the Packers had in primetime last year. First and foremost, the Packers and the Lions played each other twice. I don't give a damn. Thanksgiving Day is a primetime game. I don't care what anybody says. It's the only time that the Lions are on television for the last 20-something years. It's been considered a primetime game because that is when the Lions play on a national televised game. That's primetime in my opinion. So you played the Packers twice. The Lions have played them twice. The Packers have played the Lions twice. Okay, you got that. The Lions and the Packers played the Chiefs last year in prime time. And the Lions and the Packers played the Raiders in prime time last year. The only games, or the only teams that each team did not play, was the Lions played the Cowboys and the Broncos, while the Packers, they played the Giants and the Vikings in prime time. My point is this, if you take a look at who had the much harder opponents in primetime, the Lions had the tougher opponents, but yet Jared Goff had the better statistics. Jared Goff was much more efficient, had a better win-loss record. So again, Jared Goff shows that he was better in those statistics, he was better in his ability to win in those tough games. And then let's talk about this. This is where it's going to get really fun for me. perhaps the biggest issue that I have with this. Goff has been playing this level overall for quite a while. He's been playing like this in 2022 and 2023. He's been playing at a top 7, top 10 level as a quarterback. And if you just want to talk about from an overall perspective, Jared Goff has been playing as a starter twice as long as freaking Jordan Love has been in the league, because Jordan Love has been the backup for the last 3 years prior to getting his chance this last year behind Aaron Rodgers. So Jared Goff has proven consistently to be a very good quarterback, while, wait a minute here, what has Jordan Love done? Oh yeah, he's had 1 year as a starter. 1 mother blessed freaking year as a starter. And somehow Woodward Sports is going to try and say, oh yeah, Jordan Love is the better quarterback. How can you possibly make that argument? How in the hell is Love better than Goff by Woodward Sports, even though Jordan Love has only got 1 year as a starter in the NFL, where Jared Goff has been a starter almost every stinking year he has been in the NFL, and Jared Goff, ever since he's been the starter, has been one of the best quarterbacks in terms of statistical production. He's been to 2 NFC Conference Championship games, and he's been to a Super Bowl. How in the hell, Woodward Sports, I implore you, I dare you, try to explain how you believe that Jordan Love is better than Jared Goff. Because I don't understand how you can make that argument. Jared Goff is the best quarterback that the Lions have had as far as a success perspective is concerned since Bobby Lane. He's got the playoff wins. He's got the division title. He's got the conference championship game appearance. Matthew Stafford never got that. I'm not going back down that trail, but it's a plainly obvious statement. Jared Goff is the most successful quarterback the Lions have had since Bobby Lane. Jordan Love has only got 1 season as a starter in the NFL, so how do you put Jordan Love in front of Jared Goff is beyond me. Then, let's think about this. I talked about in prime time how the Lions and the Packers played a lot of each of the similar teams. They played each other twice themselves, but they also played the Chiefs and the Raiders. Well, here's another comparison. The Packers and the Lions, they played the 49ers in the playoffs. The Packers played the 49ers in the division round, and then obviously the Lions played the 49ers in the conference championship game. Take a look at how each quarterback did when they played the 49ers. Jordan Love was absolutely dismal when he played against the 49ers. He was 21 of 34 for 61.8%. He had 194 yards only, 2 touchdowns to 2 interceptions with a 72.4 passer rating. Absolutely atrocious. What about Jared Goff in the conference championship game? The game before the Super Bowl, the game that gets you to the big game. Jared Goff was 25 of 41, 60.9 completion percentage rate. So worse than Jordan Love in that category. But 273 passing yards, better than Jordan Love. 1 touchdown and 0 interceptions, better than Jordan Love. 88.8 passer rating, better than Jordan Love. And again, as I pointed out with the stats, Jared Goff was absolutely flawless in the playoffs. Had no fumbles, had no interceptions, nothing. Whereas Jordan Love, he had a fumble. Granted, it wasn't lost, but it was a fumble. And he also had 2 interceptions. Plus, on top of that, let's just take a look at how Jared Goff worked in comparison to his team versus how Jordan Love worked in comparison to his team. The Packers had no 1,000-yard receivers. They had no players that had 10-plus touchdowns. Whereas, what did Jared Goff do with the offensive weapons that he had last year? Oh, that's right. Amon-Ra St. Brown not only had a 1,000-yard receiving season, he had a 1,500-yard receiving season. Then you had Sam Laporta, who was almost to 1,000 yards last year. Oh, and just to top it all off, to put a little cherry on top of that, Amon-Ra St. Brown, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Sam Laporta all had 10-plus touchdowns as receivers or runners. So again, Woodward Sports, I implore you, I challenge you, I dare you, explain your rationale, explain your logic, why you have freaking Jordan Love with his 1 measly year of starting experience as an NFL quarterback over Jared Goff, who last year took your team, the team you say you represent, the team you say you're a fan of, the team that you always talk about. How can you put Jordan Love over Jared Goff when Jared Goff won you 2 home playoff games, got you a division title, and got you to the conference championship game and was literally a whisker away from getting you to the Super Bowl. And the Lions just declared he is the franchise quarterback, which I have been telling you for literally years, and you didn't want to believe me. Please explain that to me. Explain it to the host of fans that watch your show. Explain it to Lions fans, because I'm telling you this right now. After all the evidence I have provided, there's not a leg to stand on. We're talking about who is the best quarterback in the NFC right now. Jared Goff has proven he is the best quarterback in the NFC North right now. It's not a debate. So how in the hell do you put Jordan Love in front of Jared Goff? Please explain that to me. But anyway, I'm going to end the episode here because I've ranted on long enough. So I'm just going to say thank you all for watching in another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage y'all to watch the next episode. Also encourage y'all to do one of these three things. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If by chance you subscribed in the past, forgot to do so at the time, or you just subscribed, not had a chance to do so, again, highly encourage y'all to subscribe. But I also encourage y'all, please, to make sure you hit that bell notification icon at the bottom of the page so that way you never miss any more content that I push out. Also encourage y'all, please, to share the content with your Lions friends and family members. Share here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere and everywhere you can with everybody and anybody that you can. The more we share it, the greater the channel reaches and grows and spreads. And with that being said, hope you all have got something in your life that makes you happy, makes you smile. I hope you all enjoyed the content. God bless, and until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.